Hey guys, Jay here, and just yesterday I shared with you guys the idea to steal the Spectre setup from Mage built in Affliction, and you know what? I have been hooked up with some corpses of Dark Marionette in Standard, and I jumped into it, and this is the closest situation over here. So as you can see, we are dealing enough damage. I think we are going to have a good time here. The reason why is, even though you see here, it is a little bit slow, however, for context, current setup is very suboptimal for damage. So the thing that we are having here, basically I am having look at this, right? This wand is pretty much a +1 level to minion skill gem, and then a crafted modifier. We can get another +1 here. We can get minion damage here, which also increased the explosion the explosion damage, basically. Right. Okay. Let me actually finish this one, and then we can oh, okay. Goodbye, Kosis. Anyway, let's go to hideout so it doesn't hurt my eyes anymore. Right? So anyway, what we are having here, the gear that I have here is kind of crazy, but the problem is it is crazy in a unoptimal way, right? So yes, I am wearing a mage blood, but it basically is whatever bonuses that we have from the mage blood here is completely defensive, right? If that makes sense. We can, and I actually have tried before with setup without the mage blood, which is like very basic life and resistant gear, which is heavily buffed next league, by the way. And so the tankiness of the build in 3.25 is actually not going to be a problem at all. We are having a bunch of very strong buff to the tankiness of the character. The Juggernaut Ascendancy is actually become even tankier than what we are having right now in the Standard League or 3.24. We do have a lot of positive changes on endurance charges, and especially one thing that is also, I think, as important and as impactful as the endurance charge change is the flesh and stone change. That is going to potentially give us like a 20, somewhere from 20 to 30, depending on how much effectiveness we're scaling, just flat out reduced damage taken from enemies. And that is just very strong. And we got it, like, I would say almost for free. 25% reservation for that is absolutely better than any aura can ever be currently, right? So that is huge. So my point is, in terms of tankiness, we are okay. The setup here, so the basic stuff for damage we are having is the Wraith Lord helmet, which give +2 to all minion skill gem, but more importantly also give +1 maximum number of spectre per socketed ghastly eye jewel. And this is just random shit that I have. Basically the only thing that benefit me here is the life here also, because you see, even the use minion skill recently, I actually don't use any minion skill recently. They all just die, and even if I trigger a minion skill, that does not count as minion skill. So yeah, the ghastly eye jewel can definitely be so much better. Here also just life basically, again just life basically, right? So these are just for the maximum number of spectre. The one also, I have talked about it, it can be so much better. The shield here is actually kind of mandatory. The reason why is without the shield, right? Without the shield, the spectre's infernal legion ticking down is way slower. With the shield, they drop that much faster, and we are having way better uptime damage basically. So the shield is absolutely mandatory. Luckily, it is and always will be a 1 chaos shield that nobody else use. And we are using, of course, necromantic ages to make the shield bonuses apply to the monsters. I mean the minion. So the minion have 20% increased maximum life, which is more damage. Minus 50 elemental resistances. This is a downside, but in this build, it is actually a massive upside. The reason why is the Infernal Legion support is basically degenning or righteous firing the minion down so it can reach the threshold of 33% life and they will explode. So that is the way we are making the minion explode. Obviously, when we fight like in Simulacrum, for example, there are a lot of monsters around. There will be a lot of stuff that is hitting the minion as well, so they will die faster. But by default, death with natural causes, well, it is helped a lot with the Maligaro's lens shield over here. Increased area of effect applies to minions, so the explosion is bigger. Very good. Nearby allies recover 1% of your maximum life when you die. Well, that is actually not beneficial for the damage. It is a little bit counterintuitive. However, 1% is actually not that significant if you see that the minion is actually degenning for 40% of the maximum life here. I think the resistance of the minion is currently minus 20 or minus 10 something percent, so they are degenning for at least like 40-45% of their life per second. So this 1% heal will be nothing for the minion. However, because the minion life is very big, it is so much bigger than us. For example, if let's just say the minion we skill it, let's just say they have 40k life, right? 1% of that is 400, and each time the minion die, 400 life is then heals to our character. So there's an extra source of recovery. Basically, it does help quite a lot, especially in the case in the next league. If we have this thing nerfed, right, we can still use it, but it would not be as strong as currently. If we want more damage, now that is the main conversation here, because you see the damage we got is barely enough, right? If we want actually more damage and more consistency in damage, what can we do from this setup? There's actually a lot. First thing first, I am using Supreme Ostentation Keystone over here. The reason why I am using this particular keystone instead of anything else is for two reasons. Well, I kind of talk in Discord that I will keep this a secret, but you know that is unethical. I will just lay out all the truth here. So the Supreme Ostentation Keystone comes from Elegant Hubris. Elegant Hubris can actually turn a notable here into something that is 80% minion life or 80% minion damage. Minion life is better than minion damage. However, both should work really well and should massively improve the damage of the build. Right now, this is just a random Supreme Ostentation I have from the character before. It does scale something differently. This one is a very good one, by the way. But it is scaling something that is like different from what we are scaling right now. So we are not benefiting from this one that much, right? It is 10% damage per endurance charge. This was so good on the previous build that I have, but right now what we need in this particular build is to scale the damage for the minion. So we need minion life, so we scale the minion instability the most. Basically, minion damage also work, and obviously some other like defensive stat like life or chaos resist, some kind of resistance that you need. Those things can also be good as well. So you don't need to like stressed out about finding a like GG minion cluster jewel for it. I mean, not cluster, but timeless jewel. It's not going to be realistic to have like more than 2 minion life nodes anywhere in here. So 2 is the target, 1 is already very good, massive already, right? Should not be hard to find. Second, I didn't even have a cluster jewel, so I have to put some points just randomly on the tree here. With a cluster jewel, here we just need like a 6 passive medium cluster jewel with minion life. We don't actually need any notable. You can prioritize having, like, for example, if there's a notable that gives like 20-25% minion life, that is going to be very good. But basically you would want like a 25 or 35% increase effect of the small passive, and then you have some very, very good minion life node basically here to take, and that is going to be very strong. Third, very, very important as well on the skill tree. As you see, I have Supreme Ostentation, right? Which means every single nodes over here for 10 strength, 10 intelligence, or sometimes 10 dexterity are completely useless. How we can utilize this? Well, there's a tattoo that gives 5% minion life for each node of 10 intelligence here. Just count the amount that we can have. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. 24 intelligence node. That is 24 times 5, which is 120% minion life from tattoo that we can have. And then, of course, we can just slap something else into the strength node as well. The most obvious thing would be like armor, because armor still scales relatively well with the new Juggernaut. We are not having it here, obviously, but Juggernaut still scale pretty well with the armor, right? So we can have armor, who knows, chance to avoid bleeding, things that you can need. But red, basically the strength node can be turned into defensive stat modifiers, and that is going to be very good as well. So that is everything that we have here on the skill tree that we can already improve massively in terms of the damage that we can have. The other thing, this one obviously needs to upgrade. This is like a, I would say, day one level 1 here. Just +1 minion skill gem, which pretty much you can ult spam just from the base, ult spam, and then craft minion life on it. Literally, this is exactly what I do, because I don't really have a currency in standard. I often gamble away every one of them, or give away, or just throw away on random shit, or buy a very, very unique, nice item that I think is somewhat rare and hard to get, and just keep it like a trophy. Those kind of things. Anyway, I don't have currency in standard. That is why the testing is not entirely thorough. However, I think with the demonstration that we have just seen, this is definitely going to be good enough. Well, also, we are not having some support gems that not entirely just support gem, but some gem set up to support the damage dealing of the race spectre over here. What we are having here is the cursed punishment. This is not going to be a good curse for the next patch. I'm just I just ran out of currency to even recolor the boot. So if this is a blue socket here, I would put the flammability in it. And then, of course, if next league, the amulet slot, if Definer Destiny is super cheap, because this is so weak, not so weak, but is much weaker than this, we can potentially even get like a 2 curses. Or maybe we use another amulet. Maybe we can have an additional curse. Maybe we don't need to anoint Vigor. We don't need to go all in like for 1 extra endurance charge. Even though endurance charge is super strong, we already have a lot. Maybe we can just get Whisper of Doom, and then we can have Elemental Weakness plus Flammability. That is going to massively boost the damage. This one, Punishment, only kicks in when the enemies is on low life, which sometimes feels very bad when we are fighting the enemy like early on when they are on full life or they did not reach the threshold 50% for low life yet. And also, the increased damage taken here is an additive more multiplier, if that makes sense. So any source of increased damage taken that we get have a diminishing return. So if you have like only 1, 2, maybe 3 sources of increased damage taken, that is going to be very massive. However, the more of those you have, the less effective they are, and just overall, the reduced resistances curse is going to be much better than this current curse for minion instability. The reason why we used punishment before was because we are dealing the damage ourselves, so the character damage benefit massively from the hits have 25% chance to treat enemy monster elemental resistant valued as inverted. This is very strong. However, now the minion is the one who is dealing the damage, so we no longer have any benefit from this one, and so the elemental curses is just straight up superior than what we are doing right now. Wave of Conviction, obviously, we can also skills a little bit in terms of exposure. I am not having anything for exposure. Maybe we can just... Maybe this is good enough. I don't know, man. There's one other thing that we did not have in the setup currently, which is this thing over here. This is also very strong, man. Combustion, minus 10% fire resistant, and we can just slap it into a random cast when stun spell setup. Right now, I did not optimize the socket, so there's quite some problems here. So yeah, that can also be in the final setup, which also further boosts the damage that we can have. Anyway, there might be more stuff that I didn't even think of, but with this, again, very bad and very scuffed setup, very unoptimal, we already are dealing just barely enough damage. So anything that we put further into this one is just going to be increase the damage further and further, and it is going to be very nice. I'm sorry I could not have done like a better testing to represent this shit, right? But yeah, standard is not really my place. As you can see here, I blew up the currencies. I blew up the... Oh, what the fuck? I have 500 diff in here. Okay, never mind. Maybe there will be a further test in the future, but I don't think it is necessary anyway, because from this test, I can already see the potential, the damage that I need. That is everything that I need. Yeah, sure. Oh, wait, this is... this is the stash that just came from... Yeah, this one is the stash that just came from Necropolis. So yesterday I didn't have it. Right now I have it. Ooh. Yeah, this is my Necropolis stash. I remember. Because before the end of each previous league, I always kind of just blew up all the currency that I have to buy some random shit. For example, this thing, right? This is somewhat rare. A +1 power charge and two flat roll. Those kind of shit that I normally buy, and some that which was taken, whatever it is. Anyway, that is the result that I am having for the test for today. I will probably not spending any more time testing and theory crafting this character, because I think I have seen enough and I have verified enough information to believe in this setup. I would probably spend my time to work on more league starting build plan, basically, because this league there's a lot of buff, a lot of changes, and there's a lot of possibility that we can have. So yeah, stay hyped for the league, and until next time, peace. Please do like and subscribe to the channel.